Hello, I'm Jihan Sherman, and I'm presenting my paper titled Black Feminist Technoscience, Sojourner Truth, Storytelling, and a Framework for Design. A photograph of Sojourner Truth captures her sitting next to a side table, draped with a tablecloth that holds a small book and a vase of flowers. In her hands are an in-progress knitted item with the knitting needle still in place. The yarn drapes down her skirt. This is a common portrait of the abolitionist. In fact, many of her portraits are variations of this composition. So what does a portrait of Sojourner Truth have to do with technology design? Sojourner Truth's portraits with her knitting needles remind us of the entanglements of race, gender, labor, and resistance that are at the foundations of transformative approaches required for reworking design. The development of Black feminist technoscience presented here operates in relation to these entanglements. As we continue to work to address issues of coded bias, unbalanced harm, and more than human worlds, I offer Black feminist technoscience to trouble assumptions of white Western capitalist ideals that continue to control design and design research. Instead, this framework puts Black women's ideas and practices at the center of the theorizing and a counter-storying project that aims to deconstruct and reconstruct the concepts of design. How we story design impacts what is considered design history, how design knowledge is theorized and accepted, and design practice itself. Adichie describes how the single story turns people, and I will add things and concepts, into one thing. Western capitalist epistemologies have constructed a single story of design. This has overlooked and erased other versions of design through marginalization and omission. Black feminist technoscience attempts to destabilize the single story of design and then question what design has been in other heritages, is in present counter practices, and can be in futures we might imagine. While there are many stories, not all stories are included in the authorized and empowered versions. The ways in which we story the world are not neutral or balanced. The transgressive systems of power that organize our world also organize how we story it. By bridging Black feminism and feminist technoscience, we can connect its frameworks of critical theory that unpack power and liberation through the lived experiences of Black women to work in feminist technoscience that has produced important critical scholarship on design and technology. I refer to this critical framework as Black feminist technoscience. In this paper, I outline 6 key principles: intersectionality, coming to voice, the personal and situated, Black temporalities, embodied ecologies, and the ethics of care. Intersectionality. I consider intersectionality as an important theory for engaging the lived experiences of Black women, as Kimberly Crenshaw does when she coined the term, and also as a form of critical inquiry and praxis that allows for us to understand a range of social phenomena, as Patricia Hill Collins in Sermon Biology outlined. Doing so offers the opportunity to explore the ways in which intersecting power dynamics impact our notions of both designer and design. As Yolanda A. Rankin and Jaquita O. Thomas have outlined, HCI has continued to overlook the broader history of intersectionality. This important lineage resists the tendency to treat intersectionality as a process of categorization. Instead, it re-engages its power to be used as a weapon to address social injustices and fight systemic oppression, as Rankin and Thomas describe. While BFTS asserts the value of intersectionality for understanding many different power dynamics, it does so from the standpoint that its connection to the experiences of Black women and their knowledge production is critical to engage in its full potential as we continue to address injustices supported by design. Coming to voice. Centering on missing histories and contributions is an important way that feminist scholars have combated oppression and worked toward liberation. One of the ways that Black feminists and Black women have fought back against this erasure is by finding our voice and using it, as Patricia Hill Collins describes, and by talking back, as Bell Hooks articulates. Finding the authentic voice is not about finding one voice or fitting within biased notions of what should be. It is important to resist static notions of self and identity that insist on a single voice instead of honoring the many voices that are authentic and can be multidimensional. This coming to voice shifts Black women to speaking as a subject and not as underprivileged other. Coming to voice requires those people whose voices and ways of existence have been absent to be included as valuable knowledge producers themselves. The personal and situated. The feminist principle, the personal is political, highlights the connections between our personal experiences and larger social and political structures, as the Combahee River Collective highlighted in their 1977 statement. Consequently, We can look to personal and lived experiences to examine, critique, or rework broader power structures. The personal also redefines our understanding of objectivity and knowledge production, as Donna Haraway's work on situated knowledges discusses. BFTS engages in an ethic of feminist objectivity that is both personal and situated in order to resist the temptations of universalism and the illusions of objectivity that has characterized much of design research. Black temporalities. Time has a history and is situated within our social, cultural, and political power structures, as Brittany Cooper describes the relationship between time and power, including its relationship to race, history, and economics. Moving away from colonial, capitalist, and hegemonic concepts of time toward Black temporalities allows us to relearn time orientations that transform infrastructures of control to ones that reconnect history, culture, and space-time relationships. The single story of design has assumed a linearity of time that reinforces perspectives that always see the future as a faster, larger version of the present, and fails to look back to history as an ongoing experience in multiple futures as possible. A shift to Black temporalities allows us to engage these entanglements and the opportunities for transformation that they afford. Embodied ecologies. Tiffany Lethabo King describes the indigo plantation as the edge of one kind of plantation sociality and the beginning of another. And the pores of the hands of enslaved Black people working indigo function as the edge of the body and as a portal into other kinds of human and non-human relations. Anna Singh also speaks to the edges of plantations and the connection between labor, particularly the kind of plantation labor that replaced relationships of care with alienation and control. As King and Singh describe, moving beyond labor as a governing frame allows us to engage transformative relationships. We're also reminded that the human body is always embedded in the ecologies that surround us. Embodiment in this way allows us to engage notions of the body, Black bodies, Indigenous bodies, disabled bodies, and non-human bodies as open, relational, and transformative. Lastly, the ethics of care. Patricia Hill Collins' articulation of Black feminist thought describes care as a system of connected knowing, where the uniqueness of each group member enriches the group's understanding. When considering how this kind of knowledge production allows for diversity, we can include Marie Puig de la Bellacasa's call for more than human matters of care that describes relational situations that are not always human only. This offers an undoing of what we define as human, as Alexis Pauline Gumbs describes. Therefore, care allows for difference through connected knowing and relational situations that are not always human only. However, it requires us to also struggle with the ways that non-anthropocentric understandings can perpetuate existing oppressive systems by flattening them without tending to previously existing mechanisms of harm. Care in the context of care work is complicated. As Hartman recalls, historically care extracted from Black women to tend primarily white households is taken at the cost of her own. Jennifer Nash posits that an agenda for survival and a renewed investment in care in the face of death, and care as a practice of Black life in the face of Black death, is emerging within social justice movements. In this context, self-care is a political practice and revolutionary act. As we consider care work, Nash also describes a dimension of care connected to notions of stewardship. Care work supports survival, but also resists transgressive systems and requires us to emphasize stewardship, not ownership. A BFTS interpretation of care can help us stay with the entanglements of labor, emotions, and even justice as we look to imagine design differently. Finally, I present Black Feminist Technoscience as a praxis that is grounded in storytelling as a method for reworking design. Stories are not only the subject of critique, they are also the method of the research and theorizing. Storytelling is personal and critical. Stories are situated within lived experiences that have history and are ongoing. Within this critical method, these stories are not presented as universal or complete. This is an important feminist leaning in the way this project interprets storytelling. Focusing on absent stories offers opportunity for us to reestablish connections to other histories and discover ways of doing research and design differently. This means the methodology has to first situate itself within the lived experiences of real people, not stereotypes of them. Second, articulate the specific social, cultural, and material context within which it is situated. And third, acknowledge the limitations and gaps within the struggle to engage the entanglements of the research. BFTS offers critical theory and praxis that contributes the following to technology design. Bridging Black feminism with feminist technoscience connects its frameworks of critical theory that unpack power and liberation through the lived experiences of Black women to work in feminist technoscience that has produced important critical scholarship on design and technology. Next, focusing on experiences and knowledge that center on Black women, a group that has been underrepresented and absent in much of existing design research, furthers the agenda of decolonizing design. Additionally, considering both marginalized humans and non-humans forces us to stay with the trouble of the tensions across the two, resisting the perpetuation of existing oppressive systems by flattening them without tending to previously existing mechanisms of harm. Lastly, engaging storytelling as a praxis that explores the relationships between our past, presents, and futures, further situates design by engaging non-linear temporalities that disrupt the singular approach to design and technology that is rife with the legacies of colonialism, systemic racism, classism, sexism, ableism, and Western models of hegemony. Out of an endeavor to tell other stories of design, the aim is to resist the harms of the past and present, to open the possibility of different futures for design practice. The principles of Black feminist technoscience that I have explored look back to the portrait of Sojourner Truth to stay with the social, cultural, and political entanglements of design, decode bias that has become entrenched within it, and resist harms that have been scaled by its continued expansion. Future work aims to develop particular methods and practices for design that further explore the principles of BFTS and its aims. Thank you all for listening.